Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and my training video from the other day has generated a lot of questions. I'm going to try to answer another one of them. A lot of people ask me, Jason, why do you hyperextend at the top of your deadlift like that? Is it a problem? Why are you doing it? What are the risks associated with that? Are you worried about injuring yourself? And to raise a couple of points there. As far as the injury and things go, one, I'm not getting up to the top and then hyperextending way after. I'm hyperextending as one smooth movement, and I'll get to why I do that in a minute. And number two, I'm doing it with still what is not considered a really heavy weight. Now, I know heavy is very relative, but to people who train relatively heavy most of the time, 5 rep maxes and 80% isn't heavy. That might be heavy to bodybuilders who train exclusively at 10 reps plus, but to strength athletes, to be working with a weight like that I'm using, anything under about 90% of your 1 rep max is not going to be considered really heavy work. So therefore, my back and connective tissue and things are generally going to be used to handling workloads like that. So for me, for example, that was 495 pounds. And you guys have seen me pull 575 on camera. We're dealing with less than 90%. And on top of that, deficit work is going to be lighter than you can do full range of motion. So you factor in, I'm doing triples off of a deficit. It's ultimately not that heavy on my back. And so no, I don't ever get strain or feel any pain in my back from doing it. And that's the thing you need to remember. It's not with a really heavy weight. Now, why am I doing it? When I talk about not decelerating and training and avoiding even pause work in the middle, this comes back to the same point of you have to decelerate at some point, and you're going to decelerate close to where you train to do it in your regular training. And so by me doing the deficit work, I'm training to build more speed off of the floor so that I can pull faster when I'm at a normal deadlift in competition or peaking for a meet, so I can pull faster that way and generate more speed, more power. You guys got to remember, speed equals power. And as you start to decelerate at the top, that's the only time you're ever really going to miss a lockout on a deadlift. And most people don't seem to grasp that. Your lockout strength on your deadlift is only as a result of deceleration. Because the fact that a lot of you can pull off of blocks or pull off of a rack more than your 1 rep max from a dead stop should tell you that your strength at the top is more than sufficient. The only reason you're going to have problems at the top ever on a deadlift accordingly is because you have lost too much energy coming out of the bottom, you've slowed down too much, or your form has started to degrade near the top. Because once you can get those good leverages coming from a dead stop, a lot of people can deadlift 200 pounds more on the lockout than they can pull off the floor. So what I'm doing there is training myself to decelerate later in the lift. Now, when I get to competition, you guys have noticed I still lock out hard at the top, but I don't go back quite as far as I'm doing in the training videos. And it's because when I'm dealing with weights above 90%, I can't keep the inertia going long enough to do that. But by training that way, I changed the deceleration curve near the top of my deadlift so that I train myself to not decelerate quite as quick as I would as if I stopped shorter. So by doing one heavy smooth pull and coming all the way back, I'm moving the deceleration curve to where it starts further up in the deadlift. And that's going to carry over to me getting better lockouts when I start hitting heavier weights and I'm at true maxes. So there's a reason behind that. It's not going to be risky the way that I'm doing it with fairly low volume and weights that aren't extremely heavy for me to deal with. At weights that I could walk in and handle on a day-to-day basis, it's not going to be problematic because I mean that is a normal movement of the body, and I'm quite flexible, as you guys saw the way I get off of the bench. When I bench press, my back is pretty flexible and I have a very strong core, and again, my beltless training year-round contributes to that massively. I never get a sore back or issues with my back as a result of deadlifting. So it is fairly low risk, if any risk at all for me, and again, it changes the deceleration curve at the top of my deadlift to make me have a much better chance of not missing a lockout. And for me, if I miss a deadlift, it is almost always off the floor. I don't miss lockouts on deadlifts, and the way that I train and a lot of the stuff I do is one of the reasons why. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.